Welcome to the podcast that broadcasts from Revelstoke, BC.
We're bringing you stories from the back eddies and undercurrents of a mountain town.
I'm Jill McDonald.
And I'm Nora Hughes.
This is Mountain Underground.
Say the diagram next, I'll do some makeup. Yeah. Oh, sorry.
So today we're talking about home through the lens of culture. What is the culture in a mountain town and how do we identify home?
I love how you just dive right in, Nora. But that is why we're here. Do you remember the first day you spent in Revelstoke, Nora?
I do actually, because I was going ski touring in Rogers Pass and I remember being in the back of the car, and as we drove into the pass, the clouds lifted and there was all these spectacular mountains.
Wow. That is not my first experience here. And I knew right away that this place was not for me.
Really?
Yeah, but I think home is a different idea.
Yeah, I think for me, I've lived a lot of places that I've considered home, and I think I romanticize a lot of the things that I can physically see and perceive before I actually live there.
And then you react to place in that way. Like place plays a big role for me too. It's, can I envision myself here? Do I like the climate? Can I manage the wilderness? And I think there's a strong relationship between how we feel and where we are.
Yeah. And I think, home means something different to everybody.
What's the first thing you think of when you think about Revelstoke, Nora?
I feel like I've been conditioned to say mountains.
So it's not cricket.
It's definitely not cricket.
But you've seen those guys playing on the old schoolhouse field.
Yeah, I actually have. I've always wondered what they've been up to.
I've had the same thought, and so I stopped by one day to check it out.
Well, my name's Matt Bramall. I'm from the UK. I've lived in Revelstoke for about 2 years, and I work for Revelstoke Mountain Resort. Coming to Revelstoke wasn't a fixed point in my planned journey, but I think it's kind of been more of an evolution. I started off 5-6 years ago with a clear view to build a life in the mountains somewhere, and that journey has taken me across Europe to Japan, and then felt uncertain for a few years, and then I heard about this work holiday visa that allows people from a lot of other countries to apply to come and spend time here, travel if they want to, but also gain work. And I decided I wanted to come straight to Revelstoke because of the mountain predominantly, but also all the interesting things I'd heard about the town, the community, the landscape, the activities on offer. And here I am. I just knew it primarily as a place that has a lot of snow. I didn't know a lot about activities outside of winter. However, I did know about some history of cricket already in Revelstoke from a long time ago. And with the sport being so very passionate to me, I thought, well, there's maybe an opportunity there come the summer. My first actual experience of coming across cricket was learning that there was a group of guys already playing here. So they had been going on probably about 3-4 years prior to me moving to Revelstoke. But you do a bit of Googling, bit of research, and there's a couple of black and white photos that pop up. And there was a cricket club here in Revelstoke prior to the start of the Second World War. And for 30 plus years, it was a real part of the community here. My understanding or my research into that history grew as I actually came here and started to explore maybe some of the past locations and actually who were the people involved in it at that time. I knew that there were some clubs within the BC interior, only a handful, but I knew that as a general trend there's lots of people coming here from Commonwealth countries where cricket is a big part of the culture. And so came here and there was already 10-15 guys already playing, so I thought, well, there's a chance we can get a team together here. Well, I think it's important to clarify that there's one thing of it being a group of guys that play cricket in a park and a team. And when I say like a team is where there's a little bit more organization and a structure, and that is what the last year I think has definitely been a major part of, is us progressing into actually becoming a team, and actually within us actually developing relationships as well, because a lot of the time prior to that it was just us, you know, turning up, making sure the kit was there and then playing, whereas like now it's, you've probably seen people greet each other as we start the session. Everyone's asking how everyone is, and then we get in and everyone's got smiles on their faces, everyone's excited to be there, looking forward to the next game, talking about the next one. And I think at the core of it, it's the love of the game and the desire to win, which is hard to balance as well at a community level, because you want it to be about providing that opportunity and then balancing that sort of desire to actually win at all costs, you know, and that's often quite a challenge. And luckily, everyone who's been in a leadership position has done so really, really well. But yeah, we want to be the summer sport in Revelstoke that people come to watch, and we actually really, you know, want to represent Revelstoke. And I think actually to an extent we've already kind of done that, and people have really, the team's really taken pride in that, because where we've played so far in town has been quite visible. So a lot of people kind of are aware of it. They don't understand what cricket is fully, but they know that it's here, it's growing, they're playing games, they're winning now. You know, there's one or two people starting to turn up to these away games, which I find fascinating, because where I'm from at home, our away matches are 20 minutes away, 30 minutes down the road, not 2 hours down the highway. And some of these guys have made the effort to come there. They're, you know, bringing their picnics and supporting us. If that's what we're getting already, I can only imagine what it's going to be like in a year, 2 years' time, when hopefully we're maybe playing in a league and we're hosting regular games here in Revelstoke as well. And the summer crowds who come here, you know, looking for something to do on the weekend, can pull up a picnic blanket and sit out in the glorious sunshine in a ground surrounded by glorious snowy mountain peaks and the Columbia River flowing through. It sounds like a dream world, but that's, I think, where we can be. Cricket is a game of 2 teams of 11. At any point you have a team that bats while the other team fields. The team that bats first goes out and tries to hit as many runs as possible. The team that bats second tries to get that total. And if that team gets that total, they win the game. If they fail, then the team that batted first wins. It is a team game, but it's also a sport that gives individuals the opportunity to express themselves in their own way. No one cricket player is the same as anyone else. You've got some people that only bat, some people that keep wicket, some that bowl, some that do all of them. So it's a sport for all shapes and sizes, and yeah, it's a very inclusive sport. It's a sport of passion, of emotion, of energy and enthusiasm. You know, it's a very dynamic sport when you watch it, but it can last a long time as well. So for people that don't play it, people can find it quite puzzling. I mean, the most professional, highest level, it can be a 5-day game, and that is kind of stumps a lot of people. Of all the places I've been within the mountains, this is the only place that's actually felt like it can be a home. I think in a lot of mountain towns especially, you've constantly got this influx of people who then leave quite often, whereas like here there are opportunities to stay. And I think from a personal experience that ties into the opportunities from an immigration standpoint. Like for a Brit, we're so used to spending maybe 4 or 5 months in a European town, but then you have to leave straight away. Whereas like here, there's so many reasons to actually want to stay. You know, Revelstoke doesn't just fall completely dead out of season, and all the shops remain open. There's a core group of locals that are still here. And I think the people are what make the place so appealing. there's so many different people here from different backgrounds, different countries, different cultures. And for every second I've been here so far, I've not felt out of place. You know, I felt like there is a place for you here in the town. Feel free to go and find out what that is. And once you've done, like, yeah, enjoy it as much as you can. I look at Revelstoke a little bit more like a home than it had in the last couple of weeks. So I was kind of prepping myself again to go, oh no, here we go. You know, time to find somewhere else to go build a life. And I didn't want to leave here. Like, so I'm happy that I can stay here now and continue trying to build a life here. I think from the cricket side of things, I think it's going to provide a real incentive for a lot of people to potentially stay all year round and maybe sort of lay some roots here. Okay, it's cricket. It's not going to like be the be all and end all of picking a place. But if you're, let's say you come here and you experience Revelstoke in the winter and you're just not sure about, you know, what there is to do in a summer, I hope that some people might be encouraged to stay and try Revelstoke in a summertime if they know that there's a cricket club here. I guess on a more general scale, I do think and hope that there will be more opportunities for younger people to lay down their roots. There's a lot of challenges to that, but I think those who really want to make it work, I'm confident that there will be opportunities down the line. That's probably relevant to the cricket club as well, because who's mad enough to try and start a cricket club in a mountain town in Canada? You know, you try and tell someone about that in England, back home, for example, they'd laugh at you. I got a fine actually from my club back home. I went home last May, and they gave me a £3 fine because I tried to promote and grow cricket in Canada. These are some of the toughest, but probably some of the most rewarding mountain ranges in the world. And I think if you want to get all symbolic about life in Revelstoke, I think that's quite, there's a connection there, because, you know, whatever it is, the goal that you're working towards, here in Revelstoke, you've got to do a pretty steep climb. You're going to take some tumbles on the way, but eventually, if you reach that top, the rewards are going to be of immense value.
I love how he describes playing a sport versus building a team.
Yeah, it sounds like there's something deeper going on. There's something deeper going on, Norna.
What about his description of home? It's like he says that there's a place for everybody here. You have to go out and find it. It's almost like a challenge.
Yeah, it's brilliant. I love that, because I think that is an element of living here, is the challenge of finding your way home.
Yeah, and I like how he says that Revelstoke is the first place that he's really been able to consider home out of all of the places that he has lived.
Yeah, and also how everything's just bigger here. The mountains are bigger, it's larger, the consequences are higher, and so the rewards are also more profound.
What made you first feel at home here in Revelstoke, Jill?
I'm not sure that I even do yet, Nora. But it's building, and I'll speak to this a bit later in the episode, but one of the players, Jaggy, invited me to a religious ceremony, and that was a very moving experience for me, and I think it's because he invited me into his experience of Revelstoke.
And that made you feel at home?
And that made me feel at home. It made me feel included.
And I guess that brings us to our next guest.
Nags. Najender Kunwar from the Himachal Pradesh region of India.
Awesome. Let's dive into it with Nags.
My name is Nags. I live in Revelstoke. It's a beautiful spot. Cricket is very popular, in Asian countries, especially in India. India, Pakistan, Afghanistan, Sri Lanka, Bangladesh play a lot of cricket. And if you go to Western countries, then I would say England. It was invented in England. England, Australia, South Africa, and New Zealand, they are really into it. So most of the people who comes to Canada, they come on study visa. Then once they finish their studies, then they get kind of open work permit or work permit extension for a few years, 2 years or 3 years. So then, like, along with that, they have also the goal, like, get like status in Canada, like, related to immigrations, like, they want to become permanent resident. So in big cities, it's kind of complicated to get, like, your permanent residency status, because it's like, already there is no labor shortage. But especially, like, small towns like Revelstoke, like Golden, like Banff, and other small towns in all over the Canada, they are looking for people, like, who can work there, like, who can be helpful for employer to run the business. And so, like, government have different programs for, like, these kind of students, or, like, for temporary foreign worker. So they come here, and when they come here, then they definitely look like, they're like, some kind of activities which can be, like, enjoyable for them. So cricket is like that.
Well, and to meet other people.
Yeah, like, they got to know, like, local culture, like, many people who have experienced skiing, hiking, like, many more things to explore in Canada, like, especially the summer is beautiful here, like mountain biking, hiking, a lot of things to do. The toughest part is, like, to retain people here, because once they get, like, their status, or, like, once they fulfill their requirement of the employer, or, like, once they're done the contract, then they leave to the big cities, like, for more opportunities, for good professional opportunities.
Right.
But yeah, like, people like me, I would say, like, I love this kind of environment. Especially, I love to reside in the countryside. Like, if I compare myself with the downtowns, I don't like that much. But this is the perfect spot for me. And there's many people who love that, and they are, like, staying here, like, they are getting in touch with employer, they're extending their work permits, and they are, like, getting sponsored by employers, and they look forward to live here, like, for maybe like 10-12 years. Like, when we started this all, we didn't get that, like, kind of popularity in town, but we remember when we won our first game in Kelowna, and we got really popular in town, like, and I didn't know, like, this much people know us, they follow us, and they keep, like, seeing what's going on with Cricket Club. Because when we lost 3 games in the season, and, like, it was kind of disappointing for us, because we were putting lots of efforts, like training sessions, and, like, organizing game and stuff like that. But when we won the game and we came back to the town and we got huge popularity, I went somewhere in town, like, they're like, congratulations. I was like, for what? You won the game. And just like random thing, I was doing recycling from my hotel. I went to the recycling bottle depot, and I was just standing there, and I was just doing my, like, segregating all the stuff, like cans, bottle, and I went to deposit it. And the guy congratulated me, like, I was like, for what? He was like, you guys won the game. You guys are popular now. You guys are all over the Revelstoke community. I was like, wow, that's good. So everyone got, like, to know about cricket, like, Revelstoke is doing good, and that's all we need, like, support from local people. Yeah, because we are nothing, like, we are a team. It's not individual effort or individual player can, like, go ahead. It's a team, and team can be supported by, like, local people. If they support us, that's a lovely thing. It's not everywhere where you will get, like, good people around you, good neighbors, and, like, especially, like, if you're living in any town or community, what kind of things it has to offer to you. Like Revelstoke, like, it has everything to offer, and on top of that, you have, like, great people around you, and they're helpful, they're interesting, they're intelligent. You ask them anything, they will help you, like, and yeah, like, as long as you have, like, good things around you, I love that. Like, I can live, I would say, mostly anywhere, as long as people are good. Mostly people in India, we don't have, like, harsh winter. We have winter, but nothing like this. Even if you ask me, like, honestly, it gets quite uncomfortable when the temperatures goes below -20, -25. It's kind of, like, really challenging. You can't go outside. It's very dry, right? But I still, like I told you, I grew up in Himalayas, so I'm very good with this kind of, like, temperature and climatic conditions. For instance, my roommate, he is from, like, Maharashtra, from Mumbai. It's very hot place, and he is, like, not good with, like, cold temperatures. So he has a thought in the, like, beginning, like, I'm not gonna stay along because it's not my cup of tea, like winter. and he was not engaged with like winter activities. But the later when he got engaged with like, skiing, like, and some other stuff, then he's like, this is cool. I love it. Like, I know it's kind of cold, but just outside. And when we are working, we don't feel it, right? But there's like majority of people who goes through a hell of complications because they have tough time to adjust into this environment, especially because of winter. But I have think like, I know many people here who are Asians, they have difficulties with this and that. I always tell them like, if you want to live in like Revelstoke or in Canada, if you make good friendship with like snow, trust me, this is the best country to live. I know it's kind of tough in the beginning, but when you love snow and when you go for it, then you'll be like, I can't wait for winter to come again because it's that beautiful. In summer, I work like in a morning shift, start at 6 to goes like 3 or 2:30 sometime, depend on the business, how we're doing. And I come home, I take usually a small nap for like hour and two, and I wake up at like, mostly around like 5:30. And days are really long in summer. Like, you have sunlight, I guess, till like 8:30 or 8:45. So after 5:30, I just like, put my like riding gears, like, riding suit, helmets and boots, start my motorcycle. And my favorite, like, favorite direction, I mostly go towards Highway 23 North, towards Macadam, because it's like less traffic. So I cruise on that highway, sometime towards Roger Pass, sometime towards Shelter Bay. Like, 2-3 hours riding. I like go like just to it. It's like 100 kilometers, and I love that. And it's my favorite hobby to ride motorcycles, because it's the best thing. Like, it doesn't matter how bad day you have at work, how stressed you are. The moment you start your motorcycle, that feeling, like, the air you feel, even like, when you start getting ready, you feel it like, oh my God, I'm going to ride this.
Cricket is new to me. I didn't know anything about the sport. I had never been truly interested in it, but there was an infectious atmosphere around them, and it drew me in and drew Nora in, and we had the best time hanging out with those guys. And going to the match in Salmon Arm, honestly, was such a high. Like, they were so excited, and there's food and people, and they're very welcoming, and it's just a loud, crazy, exciting game where it seems like not a lot happens and it goes on forever. I'm definitely going to go. When that cricket pitch is up in Revi, I'm going to their matches. I'm a fan. Sign me up. I'm the new cricket club fan. I'm going. One of the players invited me to a ceremony that was held at the community center. His name is Jaggy, and it was a very, I made time to go because I was invited, and it felt really important and significant and welcoming. And I am so, so grateful for that gesture. He went out of his way to invite the mayor, and he put it on Facebook. He invited, the whole community was invited if you knew how to access their various communications, which he went to a lot of effort. They brought in a religious leader of some sort from Kelowna to lead the ceremony. And it was such a welcoming place. The people are so warm and friendly and wanted to explain what was going on. And the whole purpose of it was to bring peace. And at the time of this ceremony, it just seems like the world's in quite a state of disarray. And here was this peaceful, welcoming community ceremony just to offer food and peace. And I'll tell you that it is a very humbling experience to be in a room with a bunch of people you don't know, sitting on the floor in your bare feet and being served food by men in their bare feet, crouching down to put food on your plate, all kinds of different dishes. I mean, it was so emotional. It was just so beautiful, it really was. I just felt like time elongated. I had all the time in the world all of a sudden. I wasn't rushing. I wasn't uncomfortable, which normally I'd be very uncomfortable in a situation like that where I don't know what's going on. I don't understand the language. And people are offering me things that, it's just so generous. And I really thank Jaggy for welcoming us into his community. I mean, that is such a generous offer and such a promising gesture for peace.
Revelstoke is home to the Sinaiaks, Secwepemc, Ktunaxa, and Syilx people.
Come visit us, spend some time, and learn more about life along the Columbia River.